What are you doing? So you're going to ask the questions? 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at my house and I'm going to talk like this.
Yeah.
Guys, I told you none of these questions, but don't
Right,
know.
guys.
You ready?
Yeah.
Why you keep moving the camera?
'Cause-
That's 10 minutes. But guys, I'm not even like,
Okay.
how much have we done?
5.5 minutes.
Fuck guys, that's 3 questions.
Next.
What's up everyone? Massive thank you for all your questions. Your questions are actually fantastic. So I've selected quite a few to get through during this Q&A session. I must say, your questions are as good as most of the journalists. So maybe you belong in the press room at World Superbike events instead of behind YouTube. So I haven't picked the questions. Gaz went through and picked these questions. So there could be a few curveballs. First up, Mark Hitachi. Hi Jonathan, are you doing Suzuka 8R this year with Yamaha? No Mark, not this year. As you know, Yamaha, the Yart team already have their riders in place. And it's not something I even spoke about, but it's a race I love, so I really hope I get to go back there and do it again because I got a lot of Japanese fans. At Andrew Monkhouse 7176. Hi JR, loving the channel, wishing you all the best for 24. I have a couple of related questions. Donington Park received great reviews after the resurfacing work, but where does Donington Park rank in your favourite tracks across the world? If you could make one improvement to Donington, what would it be? That's pretty Donington loaded. Donington's it is a favourite track of mine, one I go well at as well, and I love most of the track, but honestly the last sector for me is just average. I feel like the designers got really creative with Donington and then they ran out of budget or ran out of like time to design it and just linked the chicane to the last corner. So from the chicane I would literally send the track right down. They've got all that industrial buildings now, sort of do a right towards Paddock C and then come back in a nice big loop and then sort of rejoin down towards Goddard, just to make it a little bit faster. Donington's really fast and flowing, a bit like Phillip Island is. But the last sector for me just spoils it a bit. But it gets loads of plus points for home crowd. That Craner Curve section's one of the best sectors of any racetrack in all the world. In fact, I think during this year we might do some track day tips, and I would love to talk you through a really cool section of Donington Park. Cheers for that, Andrew. At Sean Gilbride 55, I think that's it, Sean. Hi JR, I love the road trip video. I'm thinking about doing the same for a few days on track in Spain. So my question is, would you do the drive again, or would you prefer to ship the bikes and fly to ride? Shawnee number 55. Sean, it completely depends what you're traveling in. If it's just a van with your bikes, honestly, without putting down any parts of the world, stopping with expensive stuff in the back of your van in especially the south of France is a bit dodgy. I did it in convoy with a mate, so we actually reversed up to each other in service areas. Instead of parking at the truckie park, I parked under the lights pretty much outside the fuel pumps because there'd be nothing worse than waking up and your van's empty. I had a camper, so I was able to make up a bed for my mate in the front and I slept above the bikes in the back. I went Rosslare to Cherbourg. So Cherbourg to Barcelona is around 12 hours driving straight. We stopped off, I had about 4 hours kip and got down. So I really enjoyed it because I've got all my stuff here. The pros are, you can load your van with stuff you need as opposed to shipping your bike out there and maybe missing something. So you can overstock. It keeps my anxiety at bay having what I really need. And once you get over the trip, and the first day is a bit of a grind, and it's pretty good to have your own vehicle. Next one, at the fella 71. At the fella, what a nickname. Johnny, I'd like to know how close a 23 Superbike to a MotoGP track times are, and apart from tyres, how do they compare? Carl. Cheers for that, Carl. It really depends on the track. The biggest differences in times come from tyres. engine, brakes. I mean, the engine, you know, in 6th gear, these things rev to the moon, the MotoGP bikes, and their engines are prototype engines built with the best components you can imagine. You imagine having an unlimited budget, how you build an engine? Well, that's a MotoGP bike. Depends the track, you know, at Jerez, we depend on your gearbox, but generally we use 1st to 5th. I don't use 6th gear on that back straight there. So the speed's relatively low. Superbikes can compare quite close. In fact, there was quite a lot of, you know, fast GP guys around, and with the qualifying tyre around Jerez, sometimes a superbike can be faster, but generally in race times, superbikes are about a second to a second and a half slower at Jerez. At Mark Davies 2234. Hi Jonathan. Now you've tested the Yamaha, how does this compare to the Kawasaki? Happy New Year to you and your family too. Can't wait for the season. As I told you, none of these questions, but well, you can imagine contractually, that's one of the stipulations. I can't really compare the bikes, but what I can say is the Yamaha turns incredibly well. It's got a really user-friendly engine, you know, and also the torque of the engine, it pulls the whole way to the shift light. Electronics are good, suspension's good. It's just a really good package. So I hope that kind of answers your question in a roundabout way. And yeah, it's a bike that I'm really enjoying riding it right now. At what.the.fluff. At what the fluff. Here we go. I know your father raced in one at the Isle of Man TT. Have you, or would you ever consider riding the Isle of Man TT? Manx Grand Prix, Northwest 200, maybe on an old classic for the Barry Sheen Memorial Trophy. Thanks, JR, big fan from USA. No, I've no interest in road racing, to be honest. I mean, no interest in racing. I love the spectacle. And but yeah, it doesn't really float my boat. Sure, is the Barry Sheen Memorial Trophy not the Goodwood? I think that's at Goodwood, is it, on a circuit? I'm not sure, to be honest. I could be quite ignorant to that, but long story short, no. Road racing's not for me. Don't have big enough cojones. At Fluff on a Mission. Hi JR, will you end up being a motocross dad in the paddock? Hope to see more of you and the boys in the dirt donkeys. Well, Fluff on a Mission. Probably not. My kids are massively into football, although Jake really enjoys riding his motocross bike. So it's a really cool thing for us to do together as a family. In fact, my dream would be to have all three of us, like a picture of all three of us in a corner together or in a jump together. It'd be certainly one for the mantelpiece. As a rider new to racing, where should I be putting most of my time and effort to progress my on-track skills? I'm grateful for any insight you give from your own experience. Cheers. Whoa, so hard to give advice on that, because if it's about money, like budget, I'd be putting that aside for coaching, honestly. Forget about bling on your bike. First thing, obviously, to do with your bike is to sort the suspension, invest in some tyres. In racing and track days, tyres make everything. But I'm not just, plugging this because it's, I get nothing out of it, but a good mate of mine, Steve Brogan, he's a really good coach, and he does like one-to-one training. Reaching out to like Steve or somebody like him, to basically fast track. I was so lucky when I first started. I started in 125, and my team manager was Robin Appleyard. He had a wealth of experience. So what I learned in like one season was the equivalent of, trying to do it myself, maybe for 3 years or 4 years even. So yeah, get a good coach, and that'll fast track you the way to going fast, and going fast safely as well, because anyone can grow a set of balls and twist the cable for a lap, but you want to be safe as well. At SFV4, any plans for EWC season with Yamaha? PS, all the best for Superbike with Yamaha, and Happy New Year to you and your family. Thanks very much. No plans for the EWC season, but it would be a bucket list to do a 24-hour race. Love to do one of them. Roots Radic I think that's it. What did your first MotoGP race feel like riding on the Repsol Honda? It felt amazing. I was so nervous, to be honest, because the bike was probably more expensive than me. The gearbox was cool, that seamless gearbox, and the tyres were really different to the Pirelli tyres that I use in Superbike. But it was awesome. I was in a paddock full of, superstars, so I felt really, really cool. And it was nice that I was able to be fast enough, to compete. I had a 7th and an 8th in my 2 races that I did, so I think I gave a good account of myself. At Dean Low 1, I think that's it, Dean. Hi Jonathan, do you think your more old school body position on the bikes benefits during corner exit, since that's an area where you have always been really strong? Good question. This is something I've been working with my coach Fabien Faure, especially trying to lower my centre of gravity. But if you can imagine the bike at full lean angle, it's something that everybody's, especially with the Pirelli tyres, got a softer carcass. If you can pick the bike up and you're not hanging off the side, you're putting more load into the tyre, and from an upright position down on the bike. So I think it has some benefits, but old school, I look at myself and I feel like I'm lazy on the bike. I make the bike do a lot of the work. So physically, I don't get that tired. You can imagine hanging off the bike, all them long corners. I feel like on the left side, I'm really fluid with my body, but on the right side, I really struggle because the wrist movement, it's something I've been working on, trying to get off the bike on the right side a lot more. But I think over the years, I've made subtle changes to my style. But yeah, it is pretty old school. At Lars Torre, I think that's it, Lars. Happy to see you on Yamaha this year. Do you participate in Zwift races as part of your fitness training? Lars, yeah, I do actually, but not any race programs or anything. Just if I see a Zwift race, I'll enter it. Generally, it's long endurance rides I do on Zwift. And I love Zwift because I live in a country that, December's been horrible, the weather's been terrible, so it's a great, and I'm no ambassador for Zwift, but it's been a game changer for my training. At Lushman GB, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Okay, serious-ish question. What's your expectations in the 24 season with Yamaha, and where do you see your rivals finishing? Keep up the great videos, cheers. Expectations are to be more competitive than I was this season. That's, I fully expect that. My target's to win races. Would love to fight for the championship, but of course we need to see where we are after a few races. It's not going to be easy. I made a transition pretty quick to Yamaha, but it's a different scenario when you're out there racing. And about my rivals, I think it's going to be much of the same. Bautista's going to be strong. He's built some good momentum the last season. He's making less mistakes. Toprak moving to BMW, he's obviously incredibly strong. So I think it's cool that guys like Sam Lowes is coming with a Ducati. He's going to be competitive. Iannone, I'm missing somebody. Nicolo Bulega. So the rookies in the class are going to be, incredibly strong. So yeah, let's see. Guys, I've been overwhelmed by all these questions. So much so that we've had to do this in 2 parts. So thanks for all the questions. Stay tuned for part 2. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, make sure and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you out there.